What if the key to reversing age-related muscle loss was not hidden in a supplement aisle or in the trendy chia seed puddings flooding your social media feed, but in a single overlooked food that has been quietly building muscle and extending lifespan in cultures across the world for generations? For decades, we have been told that protein is protein, that as long as you hit your daily grams, it does not matter where it comes from. But when it comes to preserving lean mass, optimizing mitochondrial function, and fighting a condition known as sarcopenia, this belief could not be further from the truth. Sarcopenia is one of the most underestimated drivers of aging. It is not just the loss of muscle mass. It is the slow erosion of strength, vitality, and independence. It is what turns a vibrant 60-year-old into someone who struggles to climb stairs at 70. It is what transforms an active, resilient body into one that is frail, insulin-resistant, and metabolically sluggish. But here's the hopeful part. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. It is not a fixed consequence of getting older. It is a biological process that can be slowed, reversed, and even prevented when we understand its root causes. At the cellular level, muscle is not just tissue for movement. It is a metabolic organ. It regulates glucose, supports mitochondrial density, and produces molecules called mitoins that signal to the brain, liver, and even the immune system. When muscle fades, it is not only strength that declines, it is your metabolism, your hormonal balance, and your resilience to stress. And here's where it gets fascinating. While everyone seems to talk about superfoods, chia seeds, flax, acai, these foods, though nutritious, are not the frontline defense against muscle loss. The real weapon against sarcopenia lies in a nutrient-dense ancestral food that supports muscle protein synthesis, mitochondrial repair, and longevity signaling pathways like M2R and MPK. In this episode, we are going to uncover what that food is, how it works at the cellular level, and what the latest research reveals about its power to rebuild muscle, reduce inflammation, and extend health span. We will explore 6 key insights backed by science, ranging from amino acid profiles and mitochondrial biogenesis to hormonal modulation and anti-inflammatory signaling. And by the end, you will have a clear practical strategy to build strength and metabolic resilience at any age. Because the truth is, muscle is not just for athletes, it is for longevity. And by focusing on the right foods, not the fads, you can turn back the biological clock, reignite your energy, and protect your body against the silent epidemic of sarcopenia. Let us begin with the first major insight. Understanding why our muscles stop responding to the very signals that once kept them strong. If you have ever felt like no matter how much protein you eat or how often you train, your muscles just do not respond the same way they used to, you are not imagining it. That is anabolic resistance. At its core, anabolic resistance is the reduced ability of muscle tissue to synthesize new proteins in response to both diet and exercise. It is like your body's muscle building switch starts to get jammed with age. Even when you provide the right nutrients and training stimuli, the internal machinery that turns those inputs into new muscle fibers becomes sluggish. Now, here is what is happening at the cellular level. When we are young, our muscle cells are highly sensitive to amino acids, especially leucine, which acts as the ignition key for the M2 pathway, the molecular switch that triggers muscle protein synthesis. But with aging, several things begin to interfere. First, chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, disrupts signaling between cells. Inflammatory molecules such as TNF-alpha and IL-6 create oxidative stress that damages mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside our muscle fibers. When mitochondrial function declines, ATP production slows and the muscle loses both energy and responsiveness to growth cues. Second, insulin resistance plays a major role. Insulin is not just about glucose. It is also an anabolic hormone that helps shuttle amino acids into muscle cells. As insulin sensitivity declines, the delivery of these amino acids weakens, further reducing the stimulus for repair and growth. And third, nutrient sensing becomes impaired. The receptors that once recognized amino acids and activated M2R become desensitized, meaning that the same meal that built muscle in your 20s barely registers in your 50s. But here is where the solution starts to take shape. The kind of protein you consume makes a significant difference. Plant-based sources like chia seeds, flax, or quinoa contains some amino acids, but they lack the leucine density and digestibility that efficiently stimulate the muscle building switch. In contrast, one nutrient-dense food rich in bioavailable essential amino acids, micronutrients, and anabolic coactors can override anabolic resistance and reignite muscle protein synthesis. This food provides not only the optimal leucine threshold, but also key nutrients like creatine, carnitine, and B vitamins that enhance mitochondrial energy metabolism. When you combine this food with resistance training, the synergy is powerful. Studies show that older adults who consume high-quality leucine-rich protein after exercise experience up to 50% greater increases in muscle protein synthesis compared to those who rely on plant-based proteins alone. Let me break this down with a simple example. Imagine your muscle as a light bulb. The switch that turns it on is leucine, but over time that switch gets rusty, clogged by oxidative stress and inflammation. You can keep flipping it, but nothing happens. What this food does is clean the switch, provide the right voltage, and restore the connection so the light comes back on. If this breakdown is resonating with you so far, go ahead and press the like button, drop a quick comment, and hit subscribe. It helps more people discover this kind of science-backed health content and supports our mission to make longevity science practical for everyone. Next, we are going to explore why not all proteins are created equal and how the amino acid profile of this food gives it a unique muscle-preserving edge that plant proteins simply cannot match. We often hear the phrase, protein is protein, but in the world of cellular metabolism and longevity, that could not be further from the truth. At a glance, it might seem that 20 g of protein from chia seeds is the same as 20 g of protein from eggs, fish, or meat. But inside your body, these proteins behave very differently. What matters is not just the quantity of protein, it is the quality, the digestibility, and most critically, the amino acid profile. Here is what is happening at the cellular level. Muscle tissue requires specific essential amino acids, those that the body cannot synthesize on its own to build new protein structures. Among them, one stands above the rest. Leucine. Leucine acts as a molecular signal that tells the body it is time to build. It directly activates the mTOR complex, the same pathway that triggers muscle protein synthesis. Think of mTOR as a kind of construction for men inside your cells. When leucine shows up, mTOR signals the ribosomes to start assembling new muscle proteins. Without enough leucine, that signal never reaches full strength. Now, this is where the problem with most plant-based proteins becomes clear. While seeds and legumes contain protein, they tend to have lower concentrations of leucine and other branched-chain amino acids like isoleucine and vein. They also come with anti-nutrients compounds like phytates that can reduce absorption of critical minerals such as zinc, iron, and magnesium, all of which are needed for muscle metabolism. In contrast, the food we are focusing on, pasture-raised eggs, contains one of the most complete and bioavailable amino acid profiles found in nature. Every egg delivers not just a powerful dose of leucine, but also methionine, lysine, and tryptophan in ratios that perfectly match human muscle tissue. And it goes beyond amino acids. The yolk is a nutrient powerhouse providing vitamin B12, choline, and omega-3 fatty acids, all of which directly support mitochondrial functions, cellular signaling, and muscle repair. When researchers compared equal protein servings of plant-based foods versus eggs or whey, the difference was striking. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that animal-based proteins stimulate muscle protein synthesis nearly twice as effectively in both young and older adults. That is not because of calories. It is because of amino acid density and bioavailability. Let me make this practical. Imagine two construction sites. One is fully stocked with the right tools, skilled workers, and building materials. That is your body on high-quality leucine-rich protein. The other site has missing equipment, half the staff, and poor materials. That is what happens when you rely on incomplete plant proteins. Both might start the job, but only one actually finishes building the house. Now, this does not mean chia seeds, lentils, or nuts are unhealthy. They are valuable for fiber, antioxidants, and micronutrients. But if your goal is to preserve muscle mass and fight sarcopenia, they should be supporting players, not the main protein source. In fact, A single large egg provides about 1 g of leucine. Consuming 2 to 3 eggs, especially after resistance training, delivers the leucine threshold around 3 g that older adults need to trigger muscle protein synthesis effectively. And here's the deeper layer. The fats and phospholipids in egg yolks help absorb fat-soluble antioxidants like lutein and zooxan, reducing oxidative stress in muscle tissue. This means you are not just fueling muscle growth, you are protecting your mitochondria from the wear and tear of aging. So when people say chia seeds are the new superfood, the truth is that eggs have been the original superfood for human muscle cognition and cellular resilience. If you are enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. I post weekly deep dives into longevity science, and it helps more people discover evidence-based strategies for optimizing health span. Next, we are going to explore something even more fascinating: how your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside your muscle fibers, determine how effectively you build, maintain, and protect your muscle tissue as you age. When people think about building muscle, they often picture lifting weights, eating protein, and getting enough rest. But very few realize that the true foundation of muscle vitality lies much deeper in the microscopic energy factories inside our cells known as mitochondria. Here is what is happening at the cellular level. Mitochondria are the engines that power every contraction, every repair process, and every signal that drives muscle growth. They convert nutrients into adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the currency of energy your body runs on. Without abundant, efficient mitochondria, even the best diet and training plan cannot sustain muscle synthesis. Now, as we age, mitochondrial efficiency declines. These organelles begin to leak electrons during energy production, generating reactive oxygen species, or RS. Over time, this oxidative stress damages mitochondrial membranes and DNA, reducing their ability to produce ATP. The result is fatigue, slower recovery, and over years accelerated sarcopenia. But here is the empowering part. Mitochondrial decline is not inevitable. It is highly modifiable through nutrition, exercise, and hormetic stressors like cold exposure and sauna. And this is where the food we are focusing on, pasture-raised eggs, plays a critical role. Eggs are rich in several compounds that directly nourish and protect mitochondria. Choline, found abundantly in the yolk, is essential for building phospholipid membranes that keep mitochondrial structure stable. It is also a precursor for acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that activates muscle contraction. Without sufficient choline, muscle performance and coordination decline. Eggs also provide riboflavin, or vitamin B2, a co-actor in the electron transport chain, the series of reactions inside mitochondria that produce ATP. Without riboflavin, that chain sputters like a faulty engine running on poor fuel. Add in the selenium, coenzyme Q10, and omega-3 fatty acids present in eggs, and you have a nutrient matrix designed to support oxidative balance and efficient energy flow. Let me simplify this with a metaphor. Imagine your mitochondria as thousands of tiny batteries inside every muscle cell. Over time, those batteries lose charge. But when you feed them the right nutrients, choline, B vitamins, healthy fats, they recharge, rebuild, and multiply. That process of creating new mitochondria is called mitochondrial biogenesis. And it is one of the keys to staying youthful and strong. Research from institutions such as the University of Copenhagen and Harvard Medical School has shown that combining resistance training with high-quality protein intake enhances mitochondrial biogenesis and skeletal muscle. This combination amplifies both energy production and protein synthesis, forming a self-reinforcing cycle of strength and repair. And here is where eggs shine again. The balance ratio of protein to fat in a whole egg slows digestion just enough to maintain stable amino acid levels in the bloodstream, providing a sustained signal for muscle repair and mitochondrial recovery. This makes them an ideal post-workout or recovery meal, especially for older adults looking to restore both strength and stamina. One more fascinating aspect. Recent studies have found that certain peptides released from egg proteins during digestion act as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents within muscle tissue. These peptides help counteract ROS and preserve mitochondrial DNA integrity. In other words, they are like tiny repair crews working inside your cells. patching up oxidative damage before it accumulates. If you are finding this helpful, tap the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. And of course, subscribe if you want more deep dives into nutrition and longevity science, because next we are about to connect the dots between inflammation, hormonal balance, and muscle aging. This next insight will reveal how controlling inflammation and supporting anabolic hormones can further amplify the muscle-preserving power of this nutrient-dense food. If you want to understand why muscle loss accelerates after midlife, you need to look at two powerful biological forces that quietly shape every aspect of aging: inflammation and hormonal decline. Let us start with inflammation. A young, healthy muscle is in a constant rhythm of breakdown and repair. Every workout causes micro tears, and every meal containing high-quality protein repairs them, making the muscle stronger. But as chronic low-grade inflammation builds up driven by stress, poor diet, lack of sleep, or even environmental toxins, this rhythm starts to fall out of sync. At the cellular level, inflammatory cytokines such as tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin-6 interfere with insulin signaling and more activation, both of which are critical for muscle growth. They also increase oxidative stress, damaging mitochondrial membranes and impairing ATP production. This state of chronic inflammation, often referred to as inflammaging, keeps the body in a catabolic state. It tells your muscle cells break down more often than it tells them build. Over time, this leads to shrinking muscle fibers, loss of strength, and reduced metabolic rate. But here is the fascinating part. Your diet can either fuel this fire or help put it out. Eggs, especially when sourced from pasture-raised hens, are packed with anti-inflammatory nutrients that counteract these processes. For instance, they contain omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, that reduce the production of pro-inflammatory prostaglandins. These fatty acids are incorporated directly into cell membranes, improving fluidity and reducing the inflammatory signaling that often impairs muscle repair. Egg yolks also provide choline and phosphatidylcholine, which support methylation and detoxification pathways in the liver. By maintaining efficient detoxification, the body reduces oxidative stress load, allowing muscle cells to recover more efficiently after exercise or injury. Now let us shift to hormones. Testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin, like growth factor 1, are three of the most critical players in maintaining muscle mass. All three naturally decline with age, but chronic inflammation accelerates that decline. When inflammatory cytokines rise, the hypothalamic pituitary axis, your hormonal control center, starts to malfunction. This is where nutrition becomes a powerful ally. Eggs contain cholesterol, a molecule often misunderstood and unfairly demonized. But in truth, cholesterol is the raw material from which steroid hormones like testosterone are synthesized. Multiple studies have shown that diets providing sufficient dietary cholesterol can support healthier testosterone levels in both men and women, especially when combined with resistance training. Additionally, the vitamin D found in eggs enhances androgen receptor sensitivity, helping the body use existing hormones more efficiently. That means you are not just increasing hormone levels, you are making the body more responsive to the ones you already have. Let me make this practical. Imagine inflammation and hormones as two sides of a scale. When inflammation rises, anabolic hormones fall. But when you introduce anti-inflammatory nutrient-dense foods like eggs, you start to balance the scale. You calm the immune overactivity, reduce oxidative stress, and give your endocrine system the materials it needs to restore strength and vitality. A 2020 study published in Nutrients found that older adults consuming omega-3 rich whole foods, including eggs, experienced measurable improvements in muscle strength and reductions in inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein. That is not coincidence. It is biochemistry. The right nutrients turn down the volume on inflammation and turn up the body's ability to repair and grow. Before we move on, a quick reminder. If you are enjoying this, press the like button, comment, and subscribe. It really supports the channel and helps spread these tools to more people who want to optimize their health span through evidence-based science. Because in the next section, we are going to explore something crucial that most people overlook: timing and context. Even the best nutrient can fail if it is consumed at the wrong time. We will break down when and how to consume this food to maximize muscle repair, mitochondrial health, and longevity benefits. You could be eating the most nutrient-dense food in the world, but if you are consuming it at the wrong time or in the wrong context, your body might not use it efficiently. In longevity science, timing is often just as powerful as the nutrients themselves. When it comes to building and preserving muscle, the timing of protein intake is critical because your muscles respond to amino acids in pulses, not in a constant drip. In other words, you want to give your body a clear anabolic signal, not a background hum. Here is what is happening at the cellular level. After resistance training or any physical activity that challenges your muscles, your cells become temporarily more sensitive to amino acids and insulin. This is called the anabolic window, a period when your muscles are primed to absorb nutrients, activate the mTOR pathway, and begin the rebuilding process. Research shows that this heightened sensitivity lasts for about 24 hours after training, but peaks within the first 3 hours. Consuming high-quality proteins, such as eggs, within this window can double your rate of muscle protein synthesis compared to eating the same meal hours later. Whole eggs in particular provide a unique advantage because of how their nutrients work together. The yolk's fat slows digestion slightly, allowing amino acids from the egg white to enter the bloodstream steadily rather than all at once. This creates a sustained anabolic signal that can last for several hours, perfect for supporting post-exercise recovery and mitochondrial repair. But timing is not just about workouts. Circadian biology, the natural rhythm of your body's metabolism, also plays a major role. Studies have shown that consuming protein-rich meals earlier in the day enhances muscle protein synthesis, glucose regulation, and metabolic flexibility compared to eating the same meal late at night. This means that starting your day with eggs is not only a smart nutritional choice, but also a metabolic one. Morning protein intake helps align your internal clock, boosts energy production, and supports hormonal rhythms that promote muscle maintenance and fat metabolism. Now, let us talk about synergy. Pairing eggs with the right nutrients amplifies their benefits. For example, combining eggs with antioxidant-rich vegetables such as spinach, kale, or bell peppers increases the absorption of carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin, two compounds that reduce oxidative stress in both the eyes and muscle tissue. Similarly, adding a source of healthy fats such as extra virgin olive oil or avocado enhances the bioavailability of fats-soluble vitamins like vitamin D and vitamin E, further supporting recovery and inflammation control. Here is a simple practical example. A post-workout meal consisting of 2 to 3 pasture-raised eggs, sauteed vegetables, and a drizzle of olive oil provides an ideal balance of amino acids, antioxidants, and fats for both muscle repair and mitochondrial support. And if you are practicing intermittent fasting, breaking your fast with a protein-rich meal centered on eggs can help reset your insulin sensitivity while preventing muscle breakdown. Just remember, fasting is a form of hormetic stress. It needs to be balanced with adequate nourishment afterward to support recovery. Think of timing in context like tuning an instrument. The notes, your nutrients might be perfect, but if you play them at the wrong time, the melody falls flat. When you get the timing right, everything harmonizes. Hormones, mitochondria, and muscle regeneration all perform in sync. Before we move on, if you are finding this helpful, press the like button. Leave a comment about what you have learned so far and subscribe. It helps us bring evidence-based longevity science to more people looking to take control of their health. Because next, we are going to bring it all together in one of the most powerful insights of the entire talk. How maintaining muscle through proper nutrition is not just about strength or appearance. It is one of the most potent levers we have to extend health span, improve brain function, and enhance quality of life well into older age. When most people think about longevity, they think about heart health, brain function, or keeping their DNA young. But there is a missing piece in that picture, a silent organ that determines how long and how well we live. That organ is muscle. Muscle is not just tissue for strength and movement. It is a living endocrine organ, a chemical factory that communicates with nearly every system in your body. Every time you contract a muscle, you release signaling molecules called myokines. These molecules travel through the bloodstream, influencing metabolism, immunity, and even cognition. Here is what is happening at the cellular level. When muscles are active and well nourished, they release myelins that reduce inflammation, enhance insulin sensitivity, and stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis in distant tissues like the liver and brain. But when muscle mass declines, those beneficial signals fade away. Instead, the body shifts toward catabolism, higher inflammation, weaker glucose control, and accelerated cellular aging. That is why scientists now refer to muscle as a longevity organ. It does not just help you move, it helps you live longer with vitality. Maintaining muscle mass supports glucose regulation by acting as a massive reservoir for glucose uptake. More muscle means better blood sugar stability, lower insulin levels, and a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, two of the biggest accelerators of biological aging. And there is more. The relationship between muscle and brain health is profound. Myelins such as irisin and brain-derived neurotrophic factor released during muscle activity stimulate neurogenesis and protect neurons from oxidative damage. That is one reason why physically active individuals have lower risks of cognitive decline and dementia. Now, where does nutrition fit into this equation? Muscle cannot perform these life-extending functions without the raw materials to maintain itself. And that brings us back to our central theme. Eggs as a foundational food for longevity. The amino acids from eggs provide the building blocks for myelins and structural proteins. The choline supports neurotransmitter synthesis, directly linking muscle nutrition to brain performance. The omega-3 fatty acids reduce neuroinflammation, while the B vitamins and selenium protect DNA and mitochondria from oxidative stress. In essence, when you nourish your muscles with foods like eggs, you are not just building strength. You are fine-tuning the biochemical symphony that keeps your entire body young. Let me share a simple example. Consider two 70-year-olds. One has maintained strong muscle mass through protein-rich nutrition and resistance training. The other has allowed sarcopenia to set in. The first individual has stable blood sugar, sharp cognition, and independence. The second phase is fatigue, frailty, and metabolic dysfunction. The difference is not just luck. It is biology shaped by choices. A long-term study from Tufts University found that individuals with the highest muscle mass in older age had a 50% lower risk of mortality from all causes. Muscle is literally the armor of aging. So when you sit down to a breakfast of pasture-raised eggs, you are not just feeding your muscles, you are sending a message to your entire body: repair, regrow, rejuvenate. It is not about vanity or physique. It is about vitality. Every gram of muscle you preserve protects your metabolism, your mitochondria, and your mind. If this vision of muscle as the true engine of longevity inspires you, make sure to press the hype button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the science of nutrition, cellular health, and aging well. Because next, in the conclusion, we will bring all of these insights together, translating the science into a clear, practical action plan you can start using today to build strength, energy, and resilience for decades to come. Longevity is not about adding more years to life. It is about adding more life to your years. And the key to that lies not in a single supplement, genetic tweak, or quick fix, but in the daily signals we send to ourselves through movement, nutrition, and consistency. Over the last several decades, we have learned that muscle is more than a structure. It is a signal. It tells your mitochondria to regenerate. It tells your brain to stay alert. It tells your body that it is still alive, adaptable, and strong. And every choice you make around food and activity either amplifies or weakens that signal. Eggs, one of nature's most perfectly designed foods, embody that principle of synergy. Within one simple shell lies the precise combination of amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and lipids that your body needs to repair itself. When you eat an egg, you are not consuming just protein. You are consuming biological instructions for regeneration. By aligning those nutrients with the right timing, lifestyle, and training, you unlock the true potential of muscle as a longevity organ. It becomes a shield against insulin resistance, cognitive decline, and mitochondrial decay. It becomes the foundation of metabolic youth, no matter your chronological age. The science is clear. Individuals who maintain strong muscle mass into their 50s, 60s, and beyond have dramatically lower risks of chronic disease and maintain a higher quality of life. They move better, think clearer, and age slower because their mitochondria remain alive with energy and purpose. The path forward is not complex. It begins with simple, consistent steps. Number one, start your day with protein-rich meals, preferably including whole eggs from pasture-raised sources. Number two, engage your muscles through resistance training or body weight movement several times per week. Number three, support recovery with adequate sleep, hydration, and micronutrient-rich whole foods. Number four, practice circadian alignment. Eat earlier, move daily, and allow your body to follow its natural rhythm. Number five, approach nutrition as information, not just fuel. Each meal tells your body how to age. When you live this way, your muscles stop being passive tissue and become active guardians of your vitality. Your mitochondria operate efficiently. Your hormones stay balanced, and your brain thrives with clarity and focus. This is what it means to live biologically young, even as the calendar moves forward. So, as you finish this video, remember this. Longevity is not waiting in a laboratory. It is already within your cells. The choice to activate it begins every morning with the first meal, the first movement, and the mindset to keep showing up for your body. Thank you for spending this time exploring the science of muscle, mitochondria, and the extraordinary potential hidden in one of nature's most complete foods, the egg. If this message resonated with you, press the like button. Share this video with someone who needs this knowledge and subscribe for more deep dives into evidence-based strategies for optimizing your health, performance, and lifespan. Because the future of longevity is not in the distant future. It begins with what you do next.